Are you curious about solar power and whether or not it's something that you should put on your home? Are you looking to buy a home that has solar panels on it and you don't know if that's a plus or a minus or what that might entail? Well, today I've got a special guest, Darrell Stewart, a friend of mine who works for Empwr Solar, and he is here to answer a bunch of questions about solar, specifically solar on a residential home. If you want to ask questions directly to Darrell, you can reach him at any of the contact details in the description below. He would be happy to help you. And if you're curious about putting solar on your home, he is going to be your best bet to answer those questions. If you want to know everything there is to know about living in Greenville, then click the link below to subscribe, tap the bell for notifications, and I will look forward to talking with you every week. If you have any questions, if you're thinking about a move to the area, whether it's in 9 days or 90 days, we would love to hear from you and help make that a smooth transition. Now let's get over to Darrell. I got a bunch of questions for him and we're going to dig into it. Darrell, thank you so much for taking this time to sit down and talk with us today. Would you introduce me to Empwr Solar and what exactly you guys do?
Sure, David. Thanks for having me on. Love talking to people about solar. It's one of the favorite things that I love to do it at church, do it in the grocery store, walking down the street. It's one of the great things about solar is it's something that you want to share with people. Empwr Solar, yeah, super great company to work for. They've been around since 2018. We were started in Charlotte, North Carolina. Our headquarters are now in Charleston, South Carolina. And we are in 5 states. We're in Virginia, we're in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee.
Why do most of your customers decide to go solar?
Well, I think there's a number of reasons people try to go solar or want to go solar, because there's a lot of things that keep people from going solar. It has a lot to do with the position of their house, how much sun they're getting, whether or not an HOA will allow them to put it on the front or the back of the roof. So there's many things that will inhibit them, but once they are able to actually go solar, they are trying to prevent against things like inflation reduction. They're trying to reduce their carbon footprint, energy independence. They want to be able to use federal incentives, which is right now at 30%. And in South Carolina, there's actually a state incentive of 25% on your state taxes. But I think the biggest reason that people go solar is because they want to build value in their home. They want to quit spending money that's not building equity in anything, and be able to put that into something that is going to actually put money back in their pocket, build equity in their home.
Darrell, what gets you excited about solar?
You know, David, I've been doing this for 7 years now. I got back into it in October of 2016. I think the biggest thing about solar is the newness of it, that people are desirous of finding other ways to become energy dependent, and we can be a vehicle for that. It's something that, especially with Empwr Solar, that we are very proud of the end product. So we want to make sure that the customer, that they're making a great decision, that they're not only going to think they're making a great decision today, but in 25 years that they think that they made a great decision. That's ultimately what we want to have our customers do, is be able to provide longevity for the energy coming into their house, as well as an overall, an unparalleled experience for that customer. So that's what really gets me excited about it.
Darrell, why do people not go solar?
It's a great question. I get that all the time. Whenever I have been with a homeowner and we are talking about the advantages to utilizing solar in their home, their question usually is, what am I not hearing? Why aren't people all over the place deciding to do this? I think what it is it's usually fear of the unknown. They are seeing that they are getting a tax incentive, which in the state of South Carolina equates to 51% of the cost of your panels. Why is somebody doing that for me? The government's never provided me with anything. I'm always writing a check to the government. Why are they able to do this for me? And I tell them it's because you're a responsible homeowner, and the United States wants you to go green, and they're willing to provide these tax incentives as a vehicle for you to be able to do that easily.
Darrell, do you recommend that your customers buy or lease solar?
Well, I think when solar started back in South Carolina, back in 2016, there was what was called a PPA, which is a power purchase agreement, which was where you were actually able to lease solar panels. So it was not as dependent upon being able to take advantage of tax incentives. When you purchase, you want to be able to have enough tax liability to be able to take advantage of those tax incentives. So it kind of goes one of two ways. If you've got enough income to where the tax incentives are going to really help you out, purchasing is by far the best way to go. You own it at that point. When you go with a lease, it is a viable option, but there's two things that are really kind of deterrents to that. One is that there's going to be an increase of your price every year. So it's going to go up a certain percentage point, maybe 2, maybe 3%. And the last kind of bad thing, or the second bad thing, is that at the end of whatever time period that lease is, or that term of that lease, you don't actually own the solar panels. So you're going to have to actually purchase them for a fair market value, whatever that is at the time. It's usually a low number, but it is something that, is an added expense at the end of leasing those solar panels.
How much will it cost to install solar panels on my home?
Dave, that's a really home dependent type of thing. So that's usually when we come into your home, we look at your house, we see the position of your house, the condition of your roof, and we are able to give you an estimate, or actually we're able to give you an exact cost of what those panels are going to cost versus your consumption. Now, there's a huge concern out there with homeowners that there's going to be some upfront cost for this, thinking how expensive that solar panels are. In most cases, unless you are actually buying them outright, there is no upfront cost. It starts to, your payments on the solar system will just be a bill replacement of what you're paying on that utility.
Great. Well, how much could I save on my energy bills by putting solar on my home?
Well, once again, that really is something that is dependent upon the actual home for the homeowner. In some cases, we're able to put 100% offset on a person's house. But in some cases, we are only able to put a smaller percentage, half or less. But in any case, some solar is better than no solar. On that portion of your utility bill, you're going to be able to budget for how much the energy you're consuming is going to cost you every year for the foreseeable future.
And how long will it take me to recoup my investment in solar panels?
Well, that's also dependent on whether or not you pay cash or if you finance it. Usually with a cash scenario, you're looking at somewhere around 7 to 8 years before you're able to recoup that money. In a financial scenario, you are replacing that bill. So it's a little bit longer in those cases. And it depends on the term. That's something that a solar advisor would be able to help you out with. But in either case, you're not paying more than what you were paying before. You're just putting that money into something that's building equity as opposed to giving it to a utility that's never going to be able to return any of that money to you when you sell your house or any time down the road.
Well, when I have solar panels on my home, what kind of maintenance will they require?
Well, the great thing about solar panels is there's no moving parts. So there is a warranty on the panels and the inverters that are used to bring that power into your home. However, there's very little maintenance that has to be done on the solar panels themselves or the inverter.
Are they something that I need to clean?
Well, usually rain is what cleans solar panels. We talk about all the time about it being glass on the roof and things like that. It's not exactly glass. It is a polysilicon that is used to be on, that makes up those panels. And they're very resistant to getting dirty with pollen and things like that. Like I said, rain is usually what's going to be used to clean those off. If you do want to clean them, just take your hose out from the backyard, squirt them up there. It's going to be great. That'll wash them off if that's something that you see needs to be done.
How do I choose the right solar panel installer for me?
That's a great question. I think what you want to do is you want to make sure that solar installer is local, that they are using their own installers and they're not, contracting that out to someone. And with that longevity, you want to make sure that the name of that solar company has been consistent. Somebody who's changing their name a lot is usually a company that is maybe a little bit resistant to what their customers are saying about them in the past.
Makes sense. Earlier, you mentioned warranties. What kind of warranties come with solar panels?
There's a 25-year parts labor on the panels and the inverter that comes from the manufacturer. But Empwr Solar does something a little bit extra. We actually use what's called Solar Insure that's able to extend that warranty on the inverter, the panels, for the parts and the labor for 30 years. So it's an extra 5 years that we're adding into that, which is great.
What happens if my solar panels produce more energy than I can use?
Well, what the utility does is the utility will actually take that power and they will give you a credit for it. So anything that's over and above what you are using in your home is not just going and being wasted. The utility will give you a credit for those kilowatt hours that you're pushing back onto their grid.
Will solar panels increase the value of my home?
Absolutely. That's one of the number one reasons that people go solar, is because they are actually adding to the value of their home. It's something that's immediate. I like to think of it this way. There's probably many homes with the same square footage in your neighborhood or in your area, but a home with solar panels is going to be a lot less costly to run than a home that does not have solar panels. And that's usually a big deal when we're coming across real estate agents who are looking to sell a home. It's just easier to sell that product with the panels on them.
If I decide I want to get solar, how long that process takes to get started until I would have panels on my house?
Like I said in the beginning, there's a few things that are obstacles. We want to make sure that your HOA is accepting of that. There's authorities holding jurisdictions like a county and a city that we want to make sure that we're in line and get permitting on. And that usually takes, it varies, but in South Carolina, it takes about 7 days to do that. Once you guys or a homeowner decides to go solar, it usually takes about 60 to 90 days from start to finish. There's what we call PTO, which is permission to operate. And that comes from the utility where they're coming out, and as you can imagine, they don't just let anybody tie into the grid. So the utility wants to make sure that we did it properly. And after that PTO, you guys will be up and running, saving money, getting solar into your house. And that, like I said, that takes 60 to 90 days.
What would be the best way for somebody to reach you to get the process started?
We have a number. It's 888-EMPOWER-ME, and that Empwr spelled kind of funny. It's EMPWRME. So it'd be Empwr Me, 888-EMPOWER-ME. And there will be a prompt in there that'll take you to one of our departments that will get you in touch with a solar advisor, and they'll come out, schedule a time to come out to your home.
Just before we end here, tell me what excites you the most about bringing solar to people's homes.
I think I see it, or I know I see it, as I am helping this homeowner gain energy dependence. They are able to control and budget something that all of us know a utility bill is usually not budgetable. So the excitement of being able to say, hey, this is an item that you don't have to worry about for the next 25 years is an awesome thing. That is something that it really does excite me. It makes me proud to be in this industry.
Awesome. I want to thank Darrell for spending time with me today. He was very nice to have me over to his office and answer all these questions about solar. If you have any other questions, you can reach me in the comments. You can reach Darrell at the links below. He or I would be happy to answer any questions you have, help you find out what you need to know. Thank you for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time.